Once I get things set up here, we'll be ready to rock and roll. You know, it takes a minute because I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming on YouTube and I'm live streaming on Rumble. So we're about to have some fun with this bad boy. We're about to get into it. With all that is going on, all that has been happening, yeah, it's time. It's really, really time to dive into this thing and dive into what is important. So, without further ado, okay, now we're on point here. Now we're on point. So, welcome. We're about to dive into this thing here. Bible Unlocked. Shout out to my man, Brother Yerushalayim, a brother that I do my teachings with, my studies with. I had the opportunity to connect with him on many occasions. We share knowledge. We get into it. We share conversations, as kings do. Kings sharing knowledge, they sharing king conversations. So, what I want to dive into is what I call the Easter Deception. I know, I'll probably rather some feathers. I really don't care. The truth has to be put in proper perspective. The truth has to be told. A large number of individuals have been deceived, have been conditioned. I used to be one of those individuals until I had to sit down and have a reality check. The moment I had that reality check, then I slowly began to change my mindset and change the way that I think. And when I started looking at things from a bigger perspective, a bigger picture, I was able to see things for what they really was. So without further ado, grab your shoulder pads and your helmet. Peep this out.
Absolutely not. The truth must come out whether you like it, love it, hate it, or not. The truth doesn't change no matter how mad you get. So that's what we're going to be dealing with in this video. And to give those that want to know both sides of the story and want to know exactly what it is that they're commemorating and taking part of every year. People that are waking up and asking questions on the traditions that they're following to see if it matches up with the scriptures and what God wants us to do, or if it's taking us towards another path. That's what we're going to deal with today. I'm Brother Yerushalayim. This is the Bible Unlocked, the Easter Deception. Revelations 12 verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. So this is the verse you need to keep in mind as we go into this lesson, that the prophecy in the Bible says that Satan would deceive the whole world. And what you're going to find out is that the festival of Easter is one of the many tactics that Satan used to be deceptive throughout the entire world. See, the Christian church is still looking for this deception to happen sometime in the future. They're still waiting for this great massive deception to happen when they don't even understand that this deception has already happened. The deception starts with you thinking that you're already not deceived. That's where the deception happens. There's layers to the deception. And this Easter celebration is one of these many deceptive tools that Satan has used to get people to go away from the Bible and to follow him instead of Christ or what the Most High says. The Two Babylons, page 93. The festival of which we read in church history under the name of Easter in the 3rd or 4th centuries was quite a different festival from that now observed in the Romish church. The festival that you celebrate known as Easter during the time of Christ was not celebrated the same exact way that they do today. It had nothing to do with bunnies laying eggs and Easter rabbits.
And the reason why I let them play that for a little bit is to give us a little bird's eye view of what has really been going on and happening when we talk about the Bible, the Torah. So many individuals have been deceived. So many individuals have had a different notion of how things go. But when has it ever came to a point where we have to break down this thing and we have to talk about this thing? Once again, most of us, if not all of us, have been lied to. We've been conditioned. Follow these so-called traditions and not really truly understanding what it is that we're conjuring up, what we're worshiping. That when does Easter eggs and bunny rabbits have something to do with the resurrection of Yeshua? Let's continue to dive into this thing. Let's continue to feast.
The celebration was known as the Passover, something totally different, and it's going to explain in here. And it was never called Easter. Follow me. And at that time was not known by any such name as Easter. It was called Pash, or the Passover. It was called what God told it to be called back in Exodus, the Passover, not Easter. You're going to find out that Easter is dealing with a totally different custom and God. That's what you're going to come to realize, that has nothing to do with the Bible at all. And though not of apostolic institution, was very early observed by many professing Christians in commemoration of the death and resurrection of Christ. And the Passover, in the correct context, was celebrated during the time of Christ by many of the Christians that follow the teaching of Christ. Not bunnies laying eggs, or Easter rabbits, or dying eggs, or anything of that nature. It was the Passover. Socrates, the ancient ecclesiastical historian, after a lengthened account of the different ways in which Easter was observed in different countries in his time, i.e. the 5th century, sums up in these words. Socrates, who was a 5th century Christian church historian, went around and did his research and found out that this custom of Easter is being celebrated all throughout the world. Let's find out what else he found.
See, as we begin to uncover these things, that we begin to unravel these things, we will also begin to discover that how come a large number of these preachers aren't talking about this, aren't teaching this? What doctrine are they really teaching from? Are they really coming with the truth with it? Or they know the truth, but don't teach the truth. But then when you have questions, you get shunned off. You get brushed off. When certain things doesn't resonate in your spirit, now it's a problem. They try to condemn you. No, something is not adding up. It's not making sense to me. So therefore, if I have concerns, I should be able to come to you and ask you questions. Or maybe most don't like it when you ask them questions because it exposes what they do and what they teach.
Thus much already laid down may seem a sufficient treatise to prove that the celebration of the feast of Easter began everywhere more of custom than by any commandment either of Christ or any apostle. Socrates, the Christian historian, found out that this Easter celebration has nothing to do with Christ or God or the Bible. Christ never gave a commandment for you to go out there and worship on an Easter. The apostles never gave a commandment for people to go out there and do Easter egg hunts. The Bible never said anything about doing this festival called Easter. He says this is something, this is a custom that was created by other people. Now I'm going to believe Socrates' account versus the Christian pastor's account, because Socrates was there during the time when the Roman Catholic Church amalgamated these pagan principles and practices into the Christian church. He was there around that time. So I'm going to take his account versus someone that came 2,000 years later, which has a different agenda. He went and did the research on the various places that were celebrating this custom known as Easter. Page 96. Such is the history of Easter. The popular observances that still attend the period of its celebration amply confirm the testimony of history as to its Babylonian character. The custom of Easter, throughout all research, it brings a paper trail all the way back to the Babylonians, the ancient Babylonians. That's where this custom derived from. The hot cross buns of Good Friday and the dyed eggs of Pasch, or Easter Sunday, figured in the Chaldean rites just as they do now. Yes, the dyed eggs and the hot cross buns all stem back to the Chaldeans, which are the ancient Babylonians. That custom goes all the way back to ancient Babylon. There's nothing new under the sun. The ritual was picked up and it made its way all the way down to the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire, when they came and took over the Americas, they implemented it in with the rest of the pagan customs in Christianity. They didn't just wake up. I mean, the eggs just didn't pop up out of nowhere. They didn't say, they didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, we know this Easter has to do with the resurrection and death of Christ, but you know what, we're just going to add some eggs in there. I like the way they look. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few eggs in there. No, it has an origin. It has a history. They're just not going to tell you what it is, because you're going to find out that you're worshiping Satan. They're not going to tell you what it is. And most of you probably don't care, too lazy to do your own research. And guess what? Satan and the hierarchy, they like people like you. You're the ones they want in their society. The ones that's going to just go with the flow and eat up.
Exactly. They're like the ones that don't read. They're like the ones that don't listen. They're like the ones that don't pay attention. They're like the ones that are easily to deceive. People are being deceived left and right and left. You see? But because a large number of individuals are doing things off tradition, they missed it. They're not catching it. You have to continue to catch it. You see? Now it's making sense. So you mean to tell me all this time, people have been worshiping, people have been chiming in, people have been doing things. You see? And when it comes down to it, here's the deception. Let's continue.
Everything that they feed to you. They love people like you. That's a slave mentality. The buns, known too by that identical name, were used in the worship of the Queen of Heaven, the goddess Easter, as early as the days of Cecrops, the founder of Athens. That is 1,500 years before the Christian era. 1,500 years prior to when Christ stepped foot on the scene, they was already celebrating Easter bunny laying eggs. Let me say it again. 1,500 years prior to Christ stepping foot on the scene, they were already celebrating Easter bunnies laying eggs. They was already dyeing eggs. They were already dealing with Easter bunnies. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. When we were still in captivity in the land of Egypt, They were already celebrating the Queen Mother of Heaven, which is what this is dealing with. The Queen Mother of Heaven.
See, again, not knowing what you're worshiping, not knowing what you're giving praises and homage to. These are a lot of the things that they don't tell you, they don't teach you, don't want you to know. But as soon as you unlock these things, unlock these events, unlock what's going on, folk want to shame you. When we talk about these pagan holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Halloween, Valentine's Day, 4th of July, man, the list goes on. New Year's Eve. When we talk about these major holidays, do you know what you're worshiping? Do you know what you are conjuring up on those days? But they don't tell you. Oh, it's all right. We just want their money. Tithing and offering. Know damn well tithing and offering had nothing to do with money, but it had much to do with your time and food. The only time it had really something to do with money is when certain things are being exchanged. You see? Let's continue to open up our eyes and keep our eyes open to the truth.
Beginning with Semiramis in ancient Babylon. They were already dealing with this custom. So when Christ was on the scene, people were already doing their Easter bunny egg hunts. When Christ was walking on the scene, they were probably some of the people that he was healing. People that fell off into that custom. So this Easter bunny egg concept has nothing to do with Christ, his death or his resurrection at all. It's all a play on your emotions to have you believe that you're doing something that's commemorating Christ, but really what you're doing is worshiping the Queen Mother of Heaven. And we're going to get more information about this Queen Mother of Heaven, so you know exactly who it is you're paying homage to. And this custom was being done during the time of Jeremiah. This is nothing new. Jeremiah was dealing with the same people as today, dealing with this Queen Mother of Heaven worship. He was dealing with that during that time. Let's get the account out of the Bible with Easter going on during the time of Jeremiah, the Babylonian captivity. Let's find out. Jeremiah 7 verse 18. The children gather wood. The children go to the store to go ahead and get the coals. This is what they do today. It's going to be the same exact thing they were doing during the time of Jeremiah. The children get sent out to go ahead and go to the store with a few dollars to go pick up the coal. Go ahead and pick that up. And the fathers kindle the fire. And the father is outside with his chef cape on, getting ready to kindle the fire for the barbecue. That's what he's outside doing. That's what the father's outside doing.
See,
before when the kids bring the coal, he's getting the barbecue ready, getting the grill ready. And the women...
One of the things that I understand, one of the things that I bring home is when we talk about this thing here, okay? And I shared this with my god brother, Bishop Jarvis Hines. When you tell the truth and you share truth, you're going to rattle cages. A lot of cages need to be rattled. Because when you have the authority and you're standing behind the pulpit and you're constantly lying to people, deceiving people, what's that say about you? Now, one of the things here, even when me and my god brother, Bishop Hines, when we have our conversations, I say, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth because they've already been conditioned. But when you speak truth and you speak in life into individuals, into the dead, and what you're saying and teaching is realistic and it's real and it's life-saving and it's soul-saving, trust me, it's going to make an impact, an incredible impact. But then you're going to have some people that don't want to hear it, that don't want to receive it, because they have been conditioned. A large number of individuals have been conditioned, and then when you speak truth and you speak life, they don't want to hear it. They have a problem. They're set in their own way. Sometimes you need to get out of your own way and let Yahweh get in the way. And this is what we're seeing in today's time. That's why you have to be careful. Hear me and hear me good. You have to be careful of where you go worship, where you go Bible study, who you are listening to. Because if a person is not speaking life into you, if a person is not speaking truth to you, if a person is not pouring into you, you need to fall back. A large number of individuals are not willing to fall back because they have been so conditioned. You have to break away. You have to be kodashim. You have to be set apart ones. You have to set yourself apart from those that sold their soul to the things of this world. Let's continue.
Need their dough, and the women are inside in the kitchen kneading the dough, getting the rest of the entree ready. That's what the women are doing. But let's find out what they're doing all this for. To make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, to eat dinner on Easter Sunday to the Queen of Heaven. Same exact thing, to bake cakes to the Queen of Heaven. That's what they were doing back then, and that's what they're doing today. You get your whole feast ready for your Easter Sunday to bake cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Let's get more. And to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. That you are provoking the Most High to anger when you're sending up these hot cross buns to other gods.
So when you out there worshiping other gods, and you paying homage to other gods, and you opening the doors for those other gods to walk in to your life, you're upsetting the Most High. How many times that we have seen so many individuals open up doors for the wrong people, and then when the wrong people come into their life, they mess and jack everything up. Tell me that. Tell me. How is it that we mess around and let the wrong people get close to us? Even when it comes to dating, when it comes to socializing, how come we allow the wrong person to get close to us? You see? We have to, stop allowing the wrong people to get close to you so that they can do damage. Just as we've seen in the scripture. And you wonder why Yeshua was mad. Well, you open up the door for the devil to come on in. You're paying homage to the things of this world when you know that you should not be doing that. But you do it anyway. Oh, God ain't gonna mind. God ain't gonna see. Yeshua sees all things.
The Queen Mother of Heaven. Pouring out your drink offerings to the Queen Mother of Heaven on your Easter Sunday. Because that's what you're essentially dealing with. The Queen Mother of Heaven, not the Most High. When you're sitting there on your Easter Sunday dinner, thinking that you're sending the savor up into the skies for the Most High to smell, he's not accepting that. Because he knows that's going to the Queen Mother of Heaven, which we're going to find out who exactly this Queen Mother of Heaven is. The hot cross buns are not now offered, but eaten on the festival of Astarte. The festival of Astarte, which is another name for Easter. That's who you're sending your hot cross buns up and all the rest of the meal that you prepared. Not to the Most High, you're sending it up to Astarte. Let's find out who this Astarte is so we can be clear on what you're doing on this Easter Sunday when you're gathering all your kids together, cousins, nephews, uncles, aunties, little babies, all.
See, we got to pay attention, people. We got to pay attention. So many individuals have been brainwashed. You see, yeah, Big Truck is rattling a lot of cages with this one. And I got many more to come. Because I truly believe, as I sip my mushroom coffee, I honestly, truly believe that we gotta be able to tell the truth when it comes to our spiritual relationship with the Most High, Yahshua HaMashiach. We have to be willing to tell the truth. We cannot stand behind the pulpit and lie to people and deceive people. I have a thing with that. I have an issue with that. I have a challenge with that. You got people that are broken. You got people that are hurt spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You got individuals that are searching for answers, that are lost. You have a lot of individuals that have been conditioned. You have a lot of individuals that are seeking truth. You have a lot of individuals that was told lies. And the moment they have a question because something didn't resonate in them, they get turned away, they get talked about, they get disrespected, all because they've had a simple question regarding the Torah, the Bible, and they felt that it was right to go to someone of a high prestige as a pastor, minister, whatever, whatnot have you. But instead of that individual sitting it down, giving them a breakdown and being truthful and straightforward with them, their faces turn red, all hell break loose, they're triggered. How dare you question me? How dare you debate me? It's not a debate if I have a simple question because something is not resonating in my spirit. I want to learn. I'm hurting. I'm lost. I want to break these traditions that I've been taught. Because now I'm realizing, number one, his real name ain't Jesus. Let's be clear about that. Number two, we are the real Hebrew Jews. Let's be clear about that. Yeshua, what is black? Let's be clear about that. We're not supposed to be partaking in these pagan holidays. Let's be clear about that. Do you know who you are worshiping and conjuring up when you give praise and glory and homage to these demons? And Yeshua is telling you he doesn't like it, but you do it anyway. Let's continue. Let's continue to get this work.
All of old grandma. Let's find out exactly what you're doing and who you're sending this up to. That's what we're going to get ready to find out. Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Ashtaroth. Astarte. Ashtaroth is plural of Ashtoreth, name of any of the fertility goddess of the ancient Near East. Babylonian, Ishtar. The Babylonians called the Queen Mother of Heaven, which is what you're worshiping on Easter Sunday. The Babylonians called her Ishtar. Greek, Astarte. The Greeks called this same exact Queen Mother of Heaven that you're worshiping on Easter Sunday. They called her Astarte, which is the same exact god or same exact goddess as the Babylonians. In Canaan, a consort of El, Baal. And in Canaan, this Astarte or Istar is the consort of El or Baal, which means that she is the consort, which means she is the wife of Baal. So the Queen Mother of Heaven is the wife of Baal. Now we need to find out, who is this Baal? Let's get a little bit more detail. Who is this Baal? Is this that she's the wife of? Or she's the wife to? Who is this the wife to? So you can find out what you're dealing with on this Easter Sunday. Baal Zebub. Baal, or Lord of Flies, name under which Baal was worshipped by the Philistines of Ekron. There can be little doubt that Beelzebub is the same name as Baal-zebub. So Baal, which is what the name was in the Old Testament, in the New Testament you're going to see Beelzebub. You'll see Baal-zebub and Baal in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament they call him Beelzebub. So we need to find out exactly who this Beelzebub is according to the Bible.
Line upon line, precept upon precept. A brief history is given. Then we're going to bring it back to today's time so that the individuals or individual can have an understanding and overstanding of what's really going on, of who you're worshiping on these holidays. Some call it holidays, some call it holidays. You have to know what and who, why you're worshiping on these pagan holidays. And there's certain individuals that are going to sit back and break down truth. My spiritual mother, Miss Lakey, she delivers truth. My god brother, Bishop Jarvis Hines, he delivers truth. Those are the only two I know that delivers truth and come from the shoulders with it and pulls no punches. It does not hold back. We need more people like them too. That's not going to lie to the people, but it's going to be straightforward, honest, open, and direct with the people. There's a lot of souls out there that need to be saved. There's a lot of people that are asking questions, a lot of woke people, a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are studying. A lot of people are asking questions. A lot of people are huddling up. A lot of people are conversating. Certain things is not making sense, especially when certain individuals get exposed. Once again, be careful of where and who you worship around. You can't go to everybody's service. You can't pray with everybody. You can't let everybody lay hands on you, especially if their hands ain't clean. If their mouth ain't clean, if their spirit ain't clean, if their intentions ain't clean, come on. Let's continue the feast.
To see what demon you're dealing with on Easter Sunday. Follow me. Matthew 12, verse 24. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, "This fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils." Beelzebub is the prince of the devils.
And we've seen this sign in many places. We've seen this in many places. I believe they have one in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, the Baphomet. Again, pay attention to these signs and things. I'm going to be doing more and more of this, because as we begin to grow, as we begin to open up our minds and learn, as we begin to expand, as we begin to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, a lot of things is going to be exposed. A lot of people are going to be exposed. In 2025, hear me and hear me good. There's going to be a large number of people that's going to be cursed. That's going to have their head handed to them on a platter. There's going to be a lot of individuals that's going to receive blessings. Doors going to open for them. So in the same time, individuals are receiving blessings and doors opening to them. Others are going to be punished and have their heads handed to them too for the things that they do and say.
A husband to Astarte or Astarte, the Queen Mother of Heaven, the same woman that you're worshiping on Easter Sunday. She is the wife of Satan, the head demon. He's the leading demon out of the demonic forces. She is the wife of Satan himself. This is who you're pouring out your drinks, and your hot cross buns are being offered to the Queen Mother of Heaven, the wife of Satan.
So when you're celebrating Easter, pay attention, because this is exactly who you are paying homage to. So we make that clear now. Again, a large number of individuals have been conditioned, and you have some that choose not to study when it comes to certain doctrine. I know that the Roman Catholic have a lot to do with a lot of the scripture rearranging. I want to take it back to the truth. I want to take it back to what really is, as far as we can go. You see, that can give us true biblical scripture. I understand there's different translations, but in any way that you can best understand, you can best comprehend. Okay? Which translation is going to give you the best understanding? That's going to be clear to you. That's going to be simple for you to understand. In today's society, you have a large number of individuals that twist and turn Yeshua's words, especially to fit their own narrative and their own intentions. You don't do that. I'm going to take certain things out of the word. I'm going to put in certain things. And we both know you can't do that. We both know that's wrong. That's not what we do.
This is what you're dealing with when you have your kids in there on your Easter Sunday dinner, all getting together in one big family in unison, getting ready to send up the whole meal, thinking you're sending it up to the Most High when you're sending it straight up to Satan's wife. The hot cross buns are not now offered, but eaten on the festival of Astarte. But this leaves no doubt as to whence they have been derived. The origin of the Pasch egg is just as clear. Now we're going to get into the origin of these Easter eggs. Because like I said, a lot of you think they just popped up out of nowhere. No, there's an origin to everything. There's a method to all the madness.
So, again, before he breaks it down, we got down to Easter and what's going on with that. Now we're going to break down the eggs and the origin of that. And then we're going to connect both the two together. Stay tuned. Watch this.
And he says that it's just as clear, meaning you can trace the customs back to where they come from. All you have to do is go through different civilizations and find out what they're doing. You can say, okay, now we see where this custom comes from. The ancient Druids bore an egg as the sacred emblem of their order. Ancient Druids, which were the inhabitants of Europe in the land of Britain and Gaul and in Ireland, they were the ones that they were also dealing with this Easter egg. Let's find out who else was dealing with it. In the Dionysiaca, or Mysteries of Bacchus, as celebrated in Athens, one part of the nocturnal ceremony consisted in the consecration of an egg. The ancient Greeks were dealing with the consecration of an egg. They were dealing with the bunny rabbits laying eggs. And it had nothing to do with Christ. Trust me. Nothing to do with Christ, his death and his resurrection, because this is way before Christ. Let's get some more.
Pay attention.
The Hindu fables celebrate their mundane egg as of golden color. The Hindus were dealing with the bunny rabbit laying eggs. But the Hindus wanted to spice it up a little bit. So theirs was not just a regular egg, it was a golden egg. Let's find out who else was dealing with the egg. The people of Japan make their sacred egg to have been brazen. And Japan was dealing with an egg. We didn't went all the way to Japan to find people dealing with eggs in pagan rituals.
Is this starting to make sense now, people? Please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. Put a number 1 in the chat. Like the video. We got to keep that algorithm going. We got to keep them likes going. Like. Let's continue, people.
Let's get some more. In China, at this hour, dyed or painted eggs are used on the sacred festivals. Even as in this country, China was even getting it in with the eggs. China, if you know anything about China, China is one of the most atheist countries in the world. They were dealing with an egg. They don't believe anything about Christ. A great deal of the people in that country. Pagans, atheists, they were dealing with an egg. Just like Socrates says, when he went around and did his research, he found out that this custom is in a variety of different places. And it had nothing to do with a commandment from Christ or the apostles. In ancient times, eggs were used in the religious rites of the Egyptians and the Greeks and were hung up for mystic purposes in their temples. From Egypt, these sacred eggs can be distinctly traced to the banks of the Euphrates. The banks of the Euphrates is going right back to ancient Babylon, where it all started, under Nimrod and the Tower of Babel.
See, it all resonated and came back to Babylon and Nimrod. Everything goes back to that. Again, you cannot be standing behind a pulpit and be lying to the people. You have to be willing to tell the truth when it comes to having a spiritual relationship with your Abba Father who sits in heaven. And I will say it time and time again, you have a large number of individuals that are spiritually broken, spiritually hurt, spiritually sick, need soul savings. They need to hear that word. They're lost. A lot of things, they have questions. Certain things aren't resonating to them, and it's not making sense, and they need clarity. You have to be careful of who you go to, because a large number of these churches, these mega churches or small churches, medium churches, they want to take your money instead of putting you in position where your soul can be saved. Putting you in better position where you have an understanding of the word of Yeshua and know who he is. So that when you have a relationship with him, that adds value to your life. It adds value to your purpose. Not here to deceive you, but here to open up your eyes so you can have a better understanding, overstanding of what it means to have a spiritual relationship. And know that you exist. Know that you are important. Know that you are loved. Know that you are wanted. Know that you are desired. Know that Yeshua loves you. and that his word continuously lives within you. That's what he wants for his people.
The same customs were taken from the Tower of Babel when the Most High split the tongues and he spread out the rest of the nations. They took their customs with them and they all went, that's why they're all similar. And the egg was definitely part of the Babylonian custom, which spilled over into Egypt, and then into Greece, and then into Rome, and then from Rome all the way over here to America. Same exact custom, just different faces and different characters used to cover it up. The classic poets are full of the fable of the mystic egg of the Babylonians, and thus its tale is told by Hyginus the Egyptian, the learned keeper of the Palatine Library at Rome. Now we're getting ready to find out where exactly did this legend of this egg come from? What is the origin of this story of this egg? So we can find out what you're dealing with on Easter Sunday when you got your kids out there doing Easter egg hunts. In the time of Augustus, who was skilled in all the wisdom of the native country, an egg of wondrous size is said to have fallen from heaven into the river Euphrates. So the legend is that an egg of wondrous size, some massive egg, all of a sudden came down out of heaven and fell into the river Euphrates. This is where the egg come from. Let's get some more. The fishes rolled it into the bank, where the dove having settled upon it and hatched it. The fishes rolled it out of the water and put it on the bank, where the dove came, sat on it, and hatched it. Now let's find out what happened when the dove hatched it. Who managed to pop up out of this egg? Out came Venus. Out came the devil's wife. That's who Venus is, Astarte, same exact goddess. Out came the devil's wife, who afterward was called the Syrian goddess, that is Astarte. Hence the egg became one of the symbols of Astarte, or Easter. This is where you get your Easter bunny laying eggs at. It became a symbol of Easter, or Astarte, worshiping the...
So now, do you understand now? Beautiful people out there. Is it making sense to you now? Is it starting to click? Remember, the moment we begin to connect the dots, that's when it starts making sense. We've had a notion. We knew something wasn't right, but we had to tap into it more. And the more that we tapped into it, we started discovering other things. And the more we begin to discover those other things, now it turns into questions. Now we have questions. You see? We've taken the time to research things, and the more that we research things, we begin to ask questions. Let's continue to work.
Queen Mother of Heaven, Satan's wife. This is where it derives from. This is the legend behind it. This is what you have your kids dabbling with on your Easter Sunday when you're sending up hot cakes to the Queen Mother of Heaven. This is what you're dealing with. Yes, Satan gave his wife a holiday as well. Let me say it again. Satan gave his wife a holiday as well, which he got the whole world worshiping.
And the holiday that he gave her was Easter. Ain't that about a blimp? But again, conditioned, tradition, when you know better, you do better. Men, women, we have to continue to walk with our eyes open and our ears willing to hear what thus saith the Lord, because he's speaking to us. And I'll say this again, and I'm going to say it many more times. We have to get out of our own way and let Yahweh get in the way.
And thinking that it has something to do with Christ, the resurrection and death of Christ, which most people, they know that this don't have anything to do with Christ's death and resurrection. But too scared to ask a question about what does this Easter egg hunt have to do with Christ dying on the cross and being risen again on the third day. Too scared to go contrary to what the world does. Too timid to ask questions.
More people should ask questions. More people ask questions. I've always been radical growing up. If I didn't know something, I researched it and I asked. Wait a minute, this ain't sitting right with me. What is this? Why? Where did it come from? What's the solution to it? I've been told you ask too many questions. Well, if I don't know something, I'm going to ask. But when it comes to our spiritual relationship, we're supposed to ask questions. But some will tell you, no, just go along with it. No, just follow tradition. Why do we worship on Sundays? Come to find out, our day of worship is every day. Every day should be your day of worship, your time spent with the Most High. That's every day. Not just one day out the week, it's every day. Pick a religion and stay true to that religion. Now we find out, no, it's not about religion, it's about relationship. I have a relationship with the Most High. Jesus risen on Easter Sunday. No, he didn't. Satan himself gave his wife a holiday, and it was Easter. Had nothing to do with Yeshua. Because we find out on our own, we research. Again, if some things is not sitting right, it's not. But you're lying to the people. That's another reason why a large number of individuals don't even want to stay foot in the sanctuary. Because a large number of them are full of it. Oh, I can't believe you said that. What, the truth? Look around you. Oh, you're not supposed to speak on that. No, but you're not supposed to be lying to people and taking advantage of people either.
Got your kids over there doing Easter egg hunts to the devil's wife and cooking a hot Sunday dinner to send it up to Astarte, the devil's wife. This is how Satan deceived the whole world. And accordingly, in Cyprus, one of the chosen seats of the worship of Venus, or Astarte, the egg of wondrous size was represented on a grand scale, all the way back then, 2,000 or 1,500 years prior to Christ, and all the way 2,000 years after Christ. On a grand scale, got your kids in churches on Easter Sunday sending hot cakes up to the Queen Mother of Heaven. Yes, I said it. Hot cakes. I'm going to keep saying it. Got your whole Hawaiian rolls, lemon meringue pies, got them all getting ready to get sent up to the Queen Mother of Heaven, Satan's wife, Satan's consort, Beelzebub. That's what you're dealing with on your Easter Sunday. That has nothing to do with Christ, is his resurrection or death. It's on a grand scale. And it's a tradition that most people do not want to let go because to them it feels good inside. They feel like they're doing something right for the kids. Well, guess what? That's what Satan wants you to believe. Satan deals with emotions. The Most High is not dealing with emotions. He's dealing with laws and commandments, what he told you to do and what he told you not to do.
Get out of your feelings and your emotions when it comes to your relationship with the Most High, Abba Father. Get out of your feelings and emotion. It's about logic. Yeshua is about logic. It's about truth, as my mans in them just said. Hashatan, Satan himself, want to feed off your emotions, how you feel. What do you mean? Might you ask? Okay. Let's take a trip to dating. Let's use that aspect. Has it ever occurred to many of you that even in dating, a large number of women react off of their feelings and their emotions? Large number of men are logic? Has that ever made sense to you? Have you ever sat back and in your time of reflection looked into that? It's the same thing. Okay. Don't worry. I'll wait.
You want to deal with emotions? Satan is right there for you, caressing every single emotion and having you rationalize in your mind that it's okay to do Easter, even though you know it don't have anything to do with Christ and his resurrection. The Two Babylons, page 97. Now the Roman church adopted this mystic egg of Astarte and consecrated it as a symbol of Christ's resurrection. Guess who's in charge of your Easter bunny laying eggs? Yes, the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman pagan church, who has always been pagan from the foundation. Anything that has to do with Roman doctrine always has to be looked at with skepticism. They're the ones who took this concept of the egg and say, you know what? We're going to make this egg, which we know is going towards the Queen Mother of Heaven, Satan's wife. We're going to trick the people and make them believe that this egg has something to do with Christ's death and resurrection.
And just like all the other pagan holidays. See where it came from? You see now what's going on? But Satan would doctrine it up, pepper it up, disguise it up, dress it up to make it look like you're doing a good deed, but you're not. You're worshiping him and the descendants of him and those that follow him instead of worshiping and following the Most High, Yeshua, HaMashiach. You following the wrong people. Translation. Why are you dating the wrong type of person when the person you should be dating is the right person? Look. Use your eyes. They're supposed to be used for what to see. Use your ears. They're supposed to be used for what to hear.
Absolutely. Because during that time, Christianity, the doctrine of Christ, was on an uprise. The Romans had to find something. The Romans couldn't control it. So if you can't beat something, what do? You join it. And they did a great job in joining it. They did more than join it. They joined it, then took it over and cooked and kicked the true Christian doctrine out. That's what the Romans did. They wiggled their way inside the Christian doctrine when the Gentiles were able to get grafted in. This is how they repaid the Most High. By taking out his feast days and replacing it with Satan's feast days. Easter being one of them. The first.
My question is, what are you doing to repay God for what he has done for you? What are you doing? Again, what are you doing to repay God for what he has done for you? Can you answer that? Anything. What What are you doing? I sound like Dr. Omar Johnson. What are you doing? That's a hard question, ain't it? Especially when you sit back and you look at yourself. You look at how you are moving. Are you doing things to give back to the Most High? Or you're paying homage and worshiping the things of this world and thinking it's right, especially when you know that it's wrong.
Verse 7, Ecumenical Councils, page 68. In the second declaration, the bishops ruled that Easter should be celebrated at the same time throughout the empire. This is during the Council of Nicaea. It wasn't some political party that came and said, you know what, we're going to institute Easter. It was the Roman Catholic Church, the bishops, who said, we're going to make this part of the Christian doctrine. We're going to take this pagan holiday because we know that the Roman citizens don't want to let it go. So we're going to take this and we're going to add it to the Christian doctrine. So you can get the best of both worlds. You can worship Satan, the pagans can worship Satan, and we can act like we're worshiping the Most High at the same time. But we really want to worship Satan because his holidays feel a little bit better. You can be a little bit more liberal on his holidays. We don't really want to deal with Satan's or the Most High's holidays. And you have to understand, with the Roman Catholic Church, they were always pagans, and through their pagan gods, when they went out to fight wars, they would always make sacrifices to the pagan gods. So they believed heavily in these pagan gods because that's how they were winning all these wars when they went and stomped all the people.
And when you think about the entertainment industry, once again, let's take a trip. When you think about the entertainment industry, and you think about a large number of athletes, entertainers, need I say more? What more proof do you need? I just said that right there. And you apply that to what's being taught to you right now. They were to praise and worship the good, the bad. Let's reject the good. Let's worship and pay homage to the bad. Reject the good.
Going through different countries, stomping out all the people. Then they attributed that to all those pagan gods that they were worshiping. So they did not want to give those gods up. But like I said, when the Christianity was on an uprise, they had to find some way to suppress it. So they just blended them both together so they can still worship their same gods, Satan, and make people think that the other people are really worshiping the Most High God. Acts 16, verse 20. And brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city. This is Paul being brought by the masters of some lady that he just healed, because she had a spirit of divination on her. Her masters didn't like that he healed her. So they brought him to the magistrates because the Romans, like I said, have always been pagans and they never wanted anything to do with the Most High God.
Yeah, so anything that Yeshua did, they were finding reason to persecute him. They were finding reason to get rid of him. Why? He went against the grain. Oh, we can't have a person here that's doing good, that's doing this, disrupting what we got going on over here. And that's exactly what Yeshua did. Yeshua came in and wrecked shop. Yeshua came in and he changed the game around. And they didn't like it. The high Pharisee priests and the Romans and the Roman Catholics, they did not like it. Because Yeshua was exposing everything that they were doing, left and right, right and left, top to bottom, bottom to top. He was exposing it. Ain't that funny how when you expose a person for what they do and say, how mad they get, how defensive they get? Same thing. We're going to stop it right here for today. But I'm going to come back and do a part 2. I'm going to let him speak a little bit more, actually. And then I'm going to come back for a part 2 of the Easter Deception.
They brought him to the magistrates and said, "This man is troubling our city." You would think it would be a good thing for Paul to be casting out demons. But no, not to the Romans. He said that these men are troubling our city and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Roman. Trying to tell us to keep God's commandments and worship the Most High, and we don't want to do that. We want to worship Satan. The Romans had a problem with that? They said it's unlawful. That means it's a law for us not to be able to keep God's commandments. That's what it was with the Romans. To be a pagan is what you needed to do. So these people were complaining that Paul was over there healing people and telling people to keep God's commandments and follow Christ. Anytime you're dealing with the Roman Catholic Church, you always have to be skeptic. You always have to use skepticism when dealing with doctrine from the Roman Catholic Church. Who else is dealing with the Roman Catholic Church? 99% of the Christian churches all around the world. If you're dealing with Sunday worship, you're part of the Roman Catholic Church. If you're dealing with Christmas, you're part of the Roman Catholic Church. If you're dealing with Easter, you're part of the Roman Catholic Church. If you're dealing with any pagan religion, if you're dealing with the laws, the laws are done away with, you're dealing with the Roman Catholic Church. You're part of the Roman Catholic Church. You're an offspring of the Roman Catholic Church. No matter how many ways you want to slice it and dice it, those doctrines come from the Roman Catholic Church.
When Yeshua said to himself, you're supposed to be Kodashim, you're supposed to be set apart one. Separate yourself from those that partake in those pagan holidays, those pagan rituals. Don't do what they do. Don't follow and do what the world do and say. Separate yourself from all of that. Yeshua also said in his word, I'm going to deal with those that practice that. I'm going to deal with those that worship that. I'm going to deal with those that participate in that. If you do not participate in those things, I'm going to reward you. Pass over. Death will pass over you. If you say you love me, you say you worship me, you say that you trust me, you got to show it and prove it in your actions and your everyday living.
They come from the Roman Catholic Church. If you believe in a virgin birth, that Christ didn't have a mother and a father, you're part of the Roman Catholic Church. Always use skepticism when dealing with those doctrines. And do further research. And get out of a slave mentality. Now, some of you may be confused because when you read the Bible, you're going to run across one passage that says the word Easter. This is the only passage in the entire Bible that says the word Easter. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you exactly how they injected the word Easter to make you believe that that is what they were practicing during the time of Christ. And the apostles and
here we go. Here we go.
We're dealing with
Here
Easter
we go.
as you know it today. Follow me. Acts chapter 12, verse 3. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. At this time is the feast of unleavened bread, which is part of the Passover. Keep this in mind. This is the feast of unleavened bread that's going on. And watch how they're going to smoothly inject the word Easter into the scriptures to make you think that Easter and the feast of unleavened bread are synonymous.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
We're going to go deeper into the scriptures and into the translation to find out what word is really there. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Now you see that they put the word Easter in there. They injected the word Easter in there, so when someone reads it, they're going to believe, okay, you know what, I guess I am supposed to be doing Easter bunny egg hunts and chocolate-covered eggs. I guess I am supposed to be doing that because they were doing it in the Bible. Right, that's to someone who does not do any research. That's the point of them slipping it in there. Because they know that a slave is not going to do any further research. You're going to take everything at face value, and you're not going to double-check anyone's work. They put this in here purposely to give someone a reason to justify worshiping the Queen Mother of Heaven, Satan's wife, and give you a reason to do it. Now let's go to the Greek, which it was written in, and find out what does the Greek word say. Let's find out if it's talking about Easter bunnies laying eggs or if it's talking about the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let's find out.
Come on,
Strong's
let's cook.
G3957. Pascha, the Paschal Feast, the Feast of the Passover. No, bunnies laying eggs. The Passover. No, worshiping the Queen Mother of Heaven. The Passover, the Feast of the Passover, ladies and gentlemen. The Passover. This Greek word has nothing to do with Easter Sunday.
But Passover.
Satan deceived the whole world. Yes, Satan has his hands in all types of different venues. You must be doing your own research to find out what words are here, what words are there. You cannot trust anyone when it's dealing with your soul salvation.
Thank you. Thank you. That's basically what I've been saying this whole broadcast. You have to be careful of who you listening to. You have to be careful of who you sit and break bread with conversations with. You have to be careful of who you shake hands with. You have to be careful of who you let get close to you. You have to be careful of who you let breathe on you. You have to be careful of who you let pray for you. You have to be careful of who you let lay hands on you. You have to be careful of who you let sit across from you. You have to be careful of who you let walk with you. You have to be careful of who you let cry with you. You have to be careful of who you let laugh with you. You have to be careful of who you have with you when you're throwing away stones and gathering stones.
Especially not a pastor that's set up by the Roman Catholic Church who's just going to regurgitate things over and over again and not tell you that, you know what we're doing is wrong on Easter Sunday. We're not supposed to be sending up cakes to the Queen Mother of Heaven. We're not supposed to be doing that. When you're dealing with your soul salvation, you have to seek it out. Now, this Greek word was used 29 times in the New Testament. Each time it was used, it always said the word Passover.
Passover.
Always said the word Passover. Like I said, Satan only needed to inject it in there one time to get your mind away from what's going on.
To get your mind conditioned.
To allow your mind to justify worshiping him, because he can care less if you worshiping him unaware or if you worshiping him on purpose. He can care less. Long as he can get you out of doing what God says, he's in the right mode. Now let's find out what the scholars say about this translation on this Easter here. The Two Babylons, page 93. Everyone knows that the name Easter, used in our translation of Acts 12 verse 4, refers not to any Christian festival, but to the Jewish Passover. Everyone knows that this word Easter is not supposed to be there. Everyone knows that Satan done injected the word Easter into the Bible. And when he says everyone, he's not talking about the peasants going to church on Sunday, the Sunday worshipers that's going in there, not opening up the Bible, sitting there in a Sunday church, listening to someone preach, which ain't coming from the Bible, for 2 hours, getting up, singing songs and dancing, paying tithes and going home. He's not talking about you. When he says everyone, he's referring to everyone in the hierarchy that has their hands in the Christian doctrine. The high-ranking bishops that are controlling the Christian doctrine going around. The Bible scholars, they all know that this translation is incorrect. They all know that this translation is incorrect.
But get mad when you find out that it's incorrect. But feel some type of way when you find out the truth. You're not supposed to figure it out. You're not supposed to find out the truth. You're not supposed to know the truth. Think again. We know the truth. We know who we are. We know who we are descendants of. And we are royalty.
The translators, when they translate the Bible, they know that translation doesn't go there. But they're under someone else's authority, and they are forced to put that translation there as Easter, when they know it does not say Easter there. And we're going to prove that they know it as well. Everyone knows that translation does not go there. This is one of the few places in our version where the translators show an undue bias. This is one of the few places in the Bible showing that Satan has his hand in the translations. That's what he's saying. This is one of the few places where you can see clearly Satan's signature on it. Because it's a clear, purposely done mistranslation.
I'm going to leave it at there. Stay tuned. Next week will be the Easter Deception Part 2. Until then and only then, my beautiful souls, go be the best version of yourself for many people to see. Take that with you and go be great. Please like this video. Subscribe to my channel. As we approach 40,000 subscribers, I'm humble, I'm great, I'm appreciative. And I'm going to continue to get this word out there and get this truth out there to the best way of my ability so that those can continue to walk with their eyes open.